Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here playing Sea of Thieves, and in this video I'll be showing you what I think is the absolute best way to level and one of the most fun parts of the game, and that is to do the fortress raids, which are marked by the giant skull-like clouds in the sky. Now these are basically public events that randomly spawn around the map, and these clouds will be visible to just about everyone sailing the seas. And because they work as public events, you can sometimes expect to find other pirate crews in the area. Now, some pirate crews will be helpful and you can split the loot with them, but some pirate crews will definitely be a little bit more pirate and they'll probably try to steal everything and kill your team if possible. Just keep in mind that when approaching one of these islands, there is a decent chance that there will be other real players in the area. Now, these fortress raids take place inside of fortresses, which are usually just random islands that have a whole bunch of structures around them. But when there is a skull floating above this island, it means that a giant mob of skeletons has spawned, and it's now your job to try to take the island back from them. The first order of business would be to definitely anchor your boat at a decent distance from the island, and then launch a couple of your teammates towards the fortress in order for them to take out the skeleton mobs on the outside outposts that are launching cannonballs towards your boat. If you don't take care of these guys immediately, they will sink your boat and the mission will be more or less over before it even starts. So I'm on the boat taking care of it, making sure to patch up holes and get rid of any water, and I've launched a couple of my teammates onto the island in order to try to get them to take out these outposts and make sure that the cannonball barrage stops. Once all of the outposts are taken care of, it's now time for everyone to get onto the island, and I would recommend just leaving your boat at a fair distance at this point and get everyone onto the island, and this is kind of where the wave section of the raid begins. Now, the fortresses should look pretty much identical, and there will always be a door at the bottom middle of the structure, and you will need a key. The whole point of the raids is to get a key because inside of that room there is some really great loot. However, you will be attacked by skeletons pretty much constantly, and if you find yourself in a bad position like myself on screen, you will end up getting killed quite quickly. There is a decent amount of teamwork required in order to get through these. However, if at any point you do die, you will be brought to the Ferry of the Damned. You'll have to wait for about 10 seconds for the door to open, at which point you'll be able to just run through, you'll spawn back on your boat, and you can just launch yourself with the cannonball back onto the island. Now, this is why we kind of want to keep the boat at a fair distance. We want to make sure we can keep the boat alive at all times, and that's very important for us to be able to spawn back onto the boat whenever we do die. Now, before you get too preoccupied with just killing everything, you want to familiarize yourself with the resources on the island. Make sure you're filled up on bananas and get acquainted with the ammo positions on the island so you can always refill quickly whenever you need it. Now, once you're full on bananas, you can kind of begin the killing part, and I would highly recommend just using your sword whenever possible and staying as close as possible to all four of your teammates. Working together makes this a lot easier than if you guys split up and all get kind of caught individually with a whole bunch of skeletons. And every time there is a new wave of skeletons, you will hear a loud horn in the background to signal that there is a new wave beginning. And from what we could tell, there's probably around 10 to 15 waves of skeletons, and there are a whole bunch of enemy types as well. And I'll be showing you all of those on screen now and going through tips. Now, personally, I would recommend spending just about all of my time inside of this lower part of the central structure, as enemies will spawn in the ground and you can take care of them very quickly before you get overrun, and that's a key thing. Additionally, you want to attack enemies that have guns before you attack enemies with swords, as the enemies with guns are going to be a lot more dangerous. Now, in terms of enemy types, you'll have regular skeletons, you'll have skeletons with bandanas, you'll have skeletons that have some barnacles on them, you'll have these skeletons on screen that look like the Taken from Destiny 2, and pretty much for these, all you want to do is focus on using your sword in a group with your friends. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that are crazy enough and good enough to do this solo. However, we believe that it could be extremely difficult to do solo, although we haven't really done enough testing to be 100% sure just yet. Now, every time there is a new wave, like I said earlier, there will be a horn sound, and you'll also get a new enemy type. So on screen now, you see the barnacle guys I was talking about earlier. And you just want to keep eliminating these guys one by one, wave by wave, making sure you work as a team in order to get through as many waves as possible. Again, make sure you use those bananas to heal up, and make sure that you launch yourself back onto the island whenever you do die. Now, one notable enemy type that I haven't mentioned yet are the dudes that are spawning on screen, which seem to be gold-plated. And as far as I can tell, they don't take damage from your sword. They just kind of get stunned and keep going. The only way to defeat these guys, from what we could tell, was by shooting them with our gun, which would take a long time but did seem pretty effective. But the real easy way to defeat these guys is to get a gunpowder barrel, put it in the middle of the area, take a lot of steps back, and blow that sucker up. They should all die within one explosion as long as they're decently close to the barrel. Now, after you complete all 10 to 15 of the waves, which personally took us around 15 to 20 minutes on our first try, a skeleton captain will spawn for that fort, and your immediate priority should be to kill him as soon as possible. If you get all 4 of your team members to attack them with a sword, they usually go down very quickly, and what you'll want to do is make sure that you pick up the vault key that they drop. The rest is pretty simple. You pick up the vault key and you go downstairs into the kind of bottom of the central structure. You insert the key into the door, and once the door opens, all the loot is yours. Inside of here, there is a lot of good things. Usually there's around 6 chests worth of loot, plus 3 or 4 skulls for the Order of the Souls. And there are a whole bunch of gold artifacts that you can also trade in to the gold hoarder. So what you're going to want to do is get everything out of this area and then put it on your boat. Obviously, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster to do if your boat is parked nice and close to the fortress. Once all 20 pieces of loot are loaded onto your boat, you're ready to now set sail and go to the nearest outpost. Make sure you avoid getting attacked by an enemy team, and make sure you avoid storms or getting capsized by hitting a large rock, and repair your boat whenever necessary. But once you do reach an outpost, it's time to anchor your boat yet again and start delivering all of the awesome loot that you guys picked up from the fortress. Now, the first thing you might want to take care of is the skulls. The skulls are delivered to the Order of the Souls, and they help level your reputation for that area of the game. Next up, you can deliver any of the precious metal artifacts or any of the chests to the gold hoarder. He's obviously going to want them, and when you grab them and deliver them to them, he will pay you out in gold, and you'll also level up the gold hoarder's reputation. And then you can also buy promotions, which we'll get into in a bit. Last but not least are the goods that are not gold nor skulls. These are things like silks and teas. You can deliver these to the merchants. They'll pay you out, and you'll also level up your Merchant Alliance reputation. Now, once you do level things up, you'll get a ability to get a promotion at every 5 levels. So you can get a promotion at level 5, 10, 15, and so on. And to get these promotions, what you'll want to do is talk to each of the individual merchants. Again, we have the Gold Hoarder, the Order of the Souls, and the Merchant. What you want to do is go up to them, and you can buy the promotions in the top left of their inventory screens. And this will allow you to buy more expensive contracts from them, and then you'll be able to use these contracts to get better loot, which will give you more money, and you can then use your gold to buy cooler looking items and go on harder and harder quests. From our testing, we ended up with items worth approximately 10 to 15,000 gold. So again, this is definitely a great way to get loot, level up, and get a lot of gold. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really do hope it was helpful. Drop a like if it was and share it with a friend. That would be super appreciated. Special thanks to the amazing people on Patreon for supporting the show. Also, you can check out Doc Cupcake on Mixer. He does stream a couple times a week. Thank you so much for watching again, and hopefully I see you next time. Peace.